What's up, everybody? It's your favorite narcissist, favorite nerd, and today I know we're supposed to be looking at the masterpiece Sunstreaker, but you know what? Let's look at him instead. This is a Praetorian Guard bobblehead pop figure. No, I'm kidding. This is actually given to me as a gift from John Garringer. He has a review channel. You should check him out. He's an awesome guy, and because of all the Praetorian Guard jokes that have kind of been going on my channel recently, I thought it'd be great to start with this fella. But anyway, it's just funny, and it's a like this is so funny to me. And my middle daughter Selena calls this a gobblehead, which is what I call her mother. Hey, kidding. All right, let's get to Sunstreaker. So here he is, and we're gonna do things a little bit differently than what we used to do, or what we will normally be doing, I guess I should say. Where we're gonna talk about the car mode first. We're gonna talk about the gimmicks, then we're gonna talk about accessories. So rolls like a champ. Cleans up beautifully underneath. We have plastic tires in case you were curious. There is tread sculpted into the edges if that's something that appeals to you. We have the blue tinted windshield, which I think is the right choice and not necessarily one that I'm used to with transforming toy companies. Size comparison wise, there it is with Tiger Tracks, who's seen better days, and Omnigonics. So Omnigonics is just sort of there because reasons, but as you can see, like size-wise, these guys are gonna, I should really fix this, but it's just, you know, there's just not enough hours in a day. Size-wise, you should see that they're gonna look great together if you have the side swipe or what have you. And the yellow is, like a darker hue, but it doesn't bother me. Looking at the Omnigonics, I kind of feel like this is a better yellow. But, you know, it's small potatoes. I mean, and it's kind of like one of those things that's a mind's eye thing. And all the problems that Omnigonics has is, trust me, it's not worth it to have the color, you know, to be specific. But nice Autobot tempo there. Looks good. We got the chromed out stuff. I mean, it's well done. It's a really well done vehicle mode. Let's talk about some of the gimmicks. We have headlights. And you can push this up, which is a nice feature down here at the bottom, to have the headlights pop up as opposed to trying to kind of clip out there. I like that. We have a hood that opens up. You know, nothing really underneath, but still the feature is pretty cool, you know, and it serves a couple purposes, I guess, but it's still pretty cool to have it. You know, and if the engine's back here, what's up here? The trunk, just like an elephant. The trunk's in the front. You know, I'm a huge Dipset fan. Let's continue. The car doors open up. You know, I mean, it would be cool if you had it like sitting there on a shelf. If you had a display of vehicle modes to have like because I mean that's a cool way for it to open, you know. But whatever, it's not for everybody, but it is a cool feature. The spoiler can split open, and then you can use that thing from that episode where he has the little gun that kind of pops up there. He fits in the back of Prime's trailer. So then they have an alternate Lamborghini mode, which I'm guessing is how they got the license to work, and I think that ultimately that's an okay trade. In order to do that, we'll just bring the car doors up and then pull out these side pieces. You might have to kind of wiggle the back end, so to speak. And then you want to take your spoiler, split it, and then bring it around to the back. Take this top portion, bring it up, flip it over, align these side pieces here so that they're kind of at a 45-degree angle against the kind of framework of the trunk, really, or the rear of the vehicle. Fold in your silver pieces, and then make sure that this gun, the one back here, sits nice and tight so that it'll all go back down. And I have found that gun irritates me to no end there while I'm trying to make that work, but I would never have it in this vehicle mode anyway, so I guess it's one of those things where it's cool that they included it, but not necessarily a priority for me. And since, and that's not quite lined up right, but I think you get the idea. And then on the back, you take these pieces here and flip them out, and then tuck them around, and then reattach the spoiler, and that's basically how that works. Now, accessory wise, he comes with his blaster. I think this is actually painted. I could be wrong, but I think it is. Looks it to me. And of course, it's just a single sculpt, basically. I mean, there are two pieces put together, and then some decent sculpt work. It can be stored in the top of the vehicle mode with the chrome stuff on it. He can hold his gun fine. I think it's like the Fanstoys Dinobot situation where because of the paint on both, the tolerance isn't quite right. I'm having a really hard time getting this to stay stuck in. However, you know, there is enough articulation in the fingers where you can get him to hold it, I think, just fine for a shelf, but still doesn't work 100% properly, at least on the one that I have, and with the kind of limited amount of effort I'm willing to put in without damaging any of the figure. And a blaster, a small blaster, which does collapse, but that's a tight little hinge right there, and then there's uses for this as well. And in vehicle mode, the gun can be stored right here between the two forearms in that little kind of cavity. He can hold that little blaster, however, I'm not sure if it's because of the paint. It is a tight fit, and when I've been maneuvering mine here, it has had a tendency to pop out, but it's staying in position pretty well there. So I think either way, you'll be good to go. He comes with chip chase in the wheelchair, and this is just pretty much solid plastic. Well, I mean, it's a bunch of pieces put together, and then you have chip chase. He sits on there, and we got some paint detailings, and you know, they don't really get too carried away with, you know, the finite kind of sculpting of the face. But I think it'll do, you know what I mean? There he is with the bag cube one. And, you know, he's an obvious improvement figure-wise, but I think that this one had issues anyway. I think I might like this chair better. I wonder if he'll fit in that chair. So if you want to give the old switcheroo, you can. He comes with 3 alternate faces. The "look at what we have here" face. I'm gonna try and come up with a different expression for each face this year, I think. You know, all painted, eyes are painted, etc. Inside the mouth is painted, decent enough sculpt. The "who put onions in the soup" face, which is also fine. A little smudge there, but you know, ultimately same sort of detailings and such, and a decent enough sculpt. Very specific expression, just like the other one, but I guess it's cool to have it. And then a mask, "Hoist Goes to Hollywood" face, which is a really cool sculpt, and the eyes are painted and such. You know, and actually the green is painted as well because it's on a gray piece of plastic, which is probably from the same sprue as the wheelchair, but it looks really cool. And the mask just slides on and is held with tension. He also comes with some replacements for the side mirrors, which is just you know, they do this fairly often, and I think it's nice of them. And now we'll move on to transformation. So before I do, this is on loan to me from Ryan E. He hit me up and asked if I had one en route. I said I kind of had one lined up, but I wasn't sure when I was going to get it. He said I can help you out right now, and we made it work. And I appreciate him hitting me up, and he kind of stays in contact with me regularly and is a pretty good guy. So thanks to him. We're going to compare this with Onagonics, or not Onagonics, the Bag Cube one, Sun Surge, and I'll kind of make a decision for myself as to whether or not I'm going to buy this guy, but we'll get there. For now, we're just going to kind of do what we have done in the past and lift up these doors. We're gonna open up these sections here and spin them around. We're just gonna, step one of this is kind of just be to blow this thing apart, so to speak. All right, and then we can unpeg the legs. They peg in at the front and also on this rod here, this like makeshift rod, and get those out to the side. And you kind of want to make like a field goal with them. And then these hip skirts, they end up being problematic, not in a serious way, but if you get them out of the way, you're gonna help yourself. And they can roll either which way. I can't remember at the moment which one is the best to do, but you can get them to the either side so you can have access to this universal joint. And then we're gonna take the hood and we're gonna tuck it around to the back. Okay, so now we'll do the legs. Straighten them out. The foot is kind of the biggest pain for me, so I like to go ahead and get it done. Bring it around, and then this part here is the heel. That comes around to the back side, and then the tire has to kind of rotate like on it's basically a double hinge system, but it almost has to accordion the opposite way onto itself. And the joints are just a little tight, but there it is. So that's good. With the windshield, collapse it, and then tuck it back in and underneath. Then this piece will come down and close around onto this side, and that'll actually sit a little bit better, right? What am I doing wrong? Fold this piece down, and then that's basically a leg. You know, up here actually we can get this stuff out of the way, and that'll sit a little bit tighter. I should have just done that initially. Okay, on this leg, we're gonna do the same thing. Once again, I like to start with the foot. I just find it to be the most problematic, and it's not due to the engineering, it's just due to the tolerances. So, fold it out and over, bring the leg down, collapse the window onto itself, tuck it behind the shin, and then this piece comes down, that's where it tabs in. And then you can bring this piece down and this piece around. And I think the instructions say to do it this piece first and then this piece down, but I found that it doesn't really make that much of a difference. The next step is to get this armature right here in the middle between the upper torso and the lower pelvis completely turned around. In order to do that, you kind of have to make sure that it's away from this piece, and then we're just going to spin it around. And then we can put our hip skirts down in their proper location, and you can fold this piece down. Now we have another section that needs to kind of explode. So we're gonna take this whole piece off here, which will even bring that piece out, and flip that around to the back. We're gonna take these portions and flip them around. They'll fill out the flank. As you do so, you can flip the chest around for the faux chest, the windshield rather, and then you can take these pieces and flip them up, which I like. I like little stuff like this. And then this little thing here slides the head up, the face popped out, but you get the, I guess that's not really an epic kind of face reveal, I suppose, in the great scheme of things, but I'll put that in later. This comes down, and then these clip in to the kind of tabs that we just put out. Now for the arms. So you rotate these bits around, oh man, so that they're sitting kind of more in the proper angle, which is a 180-degree turn, I believe. And then this is probably my favorite part of the transformation. So you open these pieces up here, and that allows you to, one, put the elbow in the proper place and adjust the arm properly. And then you rotate the whole piece down, which brings the hand out. And then all of this comes back in, fills up the gap, and you take the elbow and slide it towards the bicep. Fresh, new, I like it. We'll do the same on the other side. So we're gonna flip this piece out. You can almost do it by the hand. And then get this out of the way. It is a tight little tolerance there, but it's a very cool transformation. Bring the elbow out, slide the elbow in, and then collapse all of that stuff, and your arms are done. And then we end with the more unfortunate part, which is the backpack. So we're gonna bring these pieces down here, and we can do the rest kind of in a minute. These pieces, these silver pieces flip up. These yellow pieces flip around to the middle. Now remember, I had it in regular Lambo mode, so I'm already kind of sorted there. These pieces end up being the side. We can adjust them as we see fit, kind of as we collapse. This has a very Lego feel to me. Like, just, I don't know. If you probably know what I mean if you have it, or if you're getting it, you'll know what I mean. And like that. And then we're going to collapse this. And this should sit kind of perfect. Down in this area, we're gonna take these pieces and wrap them back around. And then we're gonna collapse this. And then we're gonna spin the whole backpack. And what we need to do is make sure that the windshield gets underneath this, and then that the hook kind of hangs on, I think it's there, to the back piece of the backpack, and that's him. I'll get him cleaned up. We'll take a look at him. So let's talk about him. So the head is on a ball peg. The ball peg connects to a hinged flap there. So using both, you can get all the way up. You can position it so that he can look down and look menacing, which I love. And of course you get the swivel. The ears do kind of butt up against the back here, but which is not really the best, honestly. Like it's not the biggest deal in the world, and if you get it at an angle, it's fine, but you don't get a clear swivel. Face is painted, and then I think these yellow pieces inside there are painted as well, but it may just be different plastic. It's kind of challenging to tell. Either way, it looks fine. Shoulders. Shoulders are done to the 9, so you have a butterfly joint here. You have a hinge here that gets the arm pretty much all the way up. I don't know if you even need to... I think that's fine. You have the swivel here, so that it acts like a universal. You have a bicep swivel. You have... I think it's a double jointed? No, it's not, because that's a slider. You have a single hinged elbow, but it still gets you the full range, so no issues. You have a wrist swivel. It hinges in and out, which is extremely nice. The fingers are on a base pin knuckle. They are all connected, and you've got typewriter fingers constantly. And then you have the thumb on a hinge, or a swivel. So that's fine. And that's actually a nice touch with the thumb. I wish we had an additional hinge with the forefinger. It is the forefinger, right? Yeah. Same for the other side. Now, the waist swivel. So it is a bit hindered by the backpack, but you do have an ab crunch, and if you use the ab crunch, it helps you kind of maneuver around the waist swivel, and then you can kind of put it back in position and pose them so you kind of get it. Now, you can just use the swivel, but this thing is painted to the 9s. I wouldn't do it. I would use the ab crunch to manipulate it how you want and then put it back in position. I think that's the best way to kind of go about it. The ab crunch is a really nice touch. Also, this piece is a little fiddly. It's not really fiddly. It's just that this clips onto this. Once again, everything is painted here. This doesn't belong to me, so I'm not doing every little bell and whistle. But it works fine. It just takes a little bit of maneuvering and then put it back together. So not the best, but at the end of the day, functional, right? So we know that the hip covers move because we use those for transformation to make our life a little easier. If you move them all the way up, you get the leg all the way up. Then you have to reposition them, and you can get the leg all the way out to the side. So you can't get it all the way back because of the butt flap, but you do get the full Van Damme. And I think the leg forward is much more of a priority than the leg backward. Thigh swivel's built into the bottom of the universal, and then we have a knee on a single hinge on a soft ratchet that's not the best, but it's fine. Range-wise, works great. And then we have this flat black here, and that's pretty much most of the detailings. Now for the ankles, we have a tilt down, a tilt up, which is nice, and a rocker that's pretty significant. And technically... Oh wait, I'm getting ready to lie to you. Yeah, I guess technically you have a swivel, but it doesn't, like, I like an ankle swivel, but you need it to swivel the other way, so I'm not going to give them credit for that. So all of that works fairly well, and then we have the back, which is just, it's just not the best. It's fine, you know, and look, most of it's hidden from the front, but it's not the best. It's just not. And the butt flap, especially, I find kind of unsightly, but that's definitely a subjective thing. But I think we can say objectively that that's not the cleanest bot in the world. However, not the messiest either. It's just when it comes to Takara, I think that our expectations, well, at least mine anyway, sit a bit higher than that. But yeah, fairly solid. So let's have the discussion. Now, I think that, honestly, my predictions are pretty much dead on accurate. I think this guy is better. This is a better figure. Look at the proportions, the chest to hips to thighs, all works better here. This thing is loaded with paint, whereas this thing is not. I honestly, I think that this is by far the superior purchase. In proportions alone, it kind of kills it. The gap here at the shoulder compared to no gap there, and then the feet look much better over here. I 100% agree. However, I personally don't feel the need to upgrade. I don't feel the need to upgrade in the same way that I felt the need to upgrade when I got that bad cube huff, where I was like, oof, this is much better than the crank I was used to, so to speak. That's not to say I think this is better. I know there's some people out there that get all worked up. I think this is definitely the better toy. I just think that at the end of the day, for me, it's not worth another, $100. I'm kind of fine with what I have here. I don't think that this kills this. I think this is better than this, but I don't think it just demolishes it. Personal opinion. If I could go back in time and redo it all, yeah, I would buy this over this. Having had them both, looked at them both, held them side by side, I'm fine with what I got. Maybe one day if I'm at a con or something and I see it for a steal of a price, I'll flip them. But for right now, while I think this is better, I just don't think it's good enough to lose the money that I spent on this and then spend the money to get this. I think I got this guy for around $100. I think he sells for about 50 to 60. Probably maybe even less now that he's out. So that's like a $50 loss, and then another $100 to get him. So it's like he's definitely not worth $150 to me, And this guy still satisfies my Sunstreaker representation for me personally, because I think in a lot of ways he cleans up a bit better. I like the silver face on this face over the face there. This face is much better sculpted, but I like some of the detailings here on this one. But that's not me trying to make excuses. It's just saying that there are things that I still enjoy with this over this. And it's funny because people were criticizing the faux chest here. I don't feel like I hear those same criticisms with this guy. This butt flap here is I don't know. I feel like we've seen stuff like this on other stuff that people have been criticizing. They're not really criticizing it as much on this guy. I like how clean the kind of shoulder area here is on him, whereas this one's kind of, a busy little bee. So there's just enough here that I still really like, where this one doesn't make it worth it for me personally. I think this is a good figure. I think it's solid. I think it's better. And if at the end of the day I had to maybe change $20 worth, I'd get this, but that's not the case, is it? Size comparison wise, there he is with, swiper, no swiping. Final thoughts wise, let's get the negatives right out of the way because they're very few. I do feel like he's a bit pricey for what you end up getting. I know you can wheel and deal and you can buy it on Japanese websites and get pre-order deals, and now you can get it through the Amazons and you can do all these tricks of the trade, and that's awesome. And he's definitely worth that price in the $70 to $90 pocket. I don't think you'll be disappointed spending regular American retail on him, not at all, but I do think he is a bit pricey. But, the value of money is different to everyone in terms of what they have and what they're willing to spend it on. So I'm just saying it doesn't feel significantly better than other products that they've released at a lower price point. My only other real negatives, and I have some nitpicks and stuff, like the gun has a tension issue, at least on the one that I'm dealing with the amount of effort and kind of force that I'm willing to apply to it. So that's not 100% great to me, but that's definitely a nitpick. The other issues that I have is the cleanliness of it. I just don't think it cleans up extremely well. I think there are parts that clean up extremely well. I just don't think as a whole it does. And it also, ever since Ironhide, I feel like there's you've probably heard it through the review, there is this rickety nature to a lot of these Takara MPs recently, which I'm just not crazy about. Not a deal breaker, not by any means, but I don't know what's up with that. Plenty of positives though. The presence is definitely Sunstreaker, and the full paint almost everywhere makes him pop like a heated corn kernel. The materials feel good, the plastic feels good. I just don't like that rickety nature to it. Not a whole lot of hardware though, I must admit that. Articulation is phenomenal across the board. The waist swivel's a little difficult to get, and difficult is maybe the wrong choice of words, but you know what I mean? It's not the smoothest. However, with a little manipulation, you could pretty much get any pose out of this guy that you would ever want. The sculpt is great. The alt mode is beautiful. The accessories are all interchangeable. They all work properly for the most part, minus the nitpicks. And I think it's the best option available on the market. So it is a recommend from me, and it is a strong recommend from me. I think it's a really well done figure. So thanks, Ryan, again for letting me take a look at it. I'm going to try to get this right back in the mail to you today. And to everyone else, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.